email you sent to your family. Here's what you said. At 11 o'clock that night, approximately 1 hour after you told the American people it was a video, you say to your family, 2 officers were killed today in Benghazi by an al-Qaeda-like group. You tell the American people one thing, you tell your family an entirely different story. The next day, within 24 hours, you had a conversation with the Egyptian Prime Minister. You told him this: we know the attack in Libya had nothing to do with the film. It was a planned attack, not a protest.
Well, what do you know? What do you know? Hillary Clinton lied and people died. That's right. I'll say it again. I know there was bumper stickers all over the place with George W. Bush as president. George Bush lied and people died. Well, what do you know? What do you know? Hillary Clinton lied and people died. What do you know? And she says she took responsibility for their deaths because they repeatedly asked for security before it happened and they didn't get it. Now, everyone in the media everywhere is saying, what a great performance by Hillary Clinton. What a she looked so presidential. She was so calm in her demeanor as they grilled her for 11 hours on what happened in Benghazi and found nothing. You know what, though? You know what? They're kind of right. She did have a pretty good performance. Key word there is performance. Now, what I just played for you was Jim Jordan talking to Hillary Clinton, proving that she knew that it was a terrorist attack right after the attacks in Benghazi. She knew it was a terrorist attack, even though that same week she was telling the American people it was a video. So we know she lied. But she had a great performance. And, you know, the American people now, I guess we only care about image. And we don't care about facts. We don't care about what she would do to the country and her policies. At least she looked good. You are listening to Beyond Reason Radio here at BeyondReasonRadio.com and on the Beyond Reason Radio app. This is your host, Michael Yaffe. As always, I'm going to get into the Benghazi stuff. There's a lot of stuff that has not been talked about when it comes to the terrorist attacks in Benghazi on September 11, 2012, that killed our ambassador and 4 other Americans. A lot hasn't been said. A lot hasn't been talked about. A lot of questions have not been answered that I want answered, that they're not even being asked. They're not asking the question. We're so obsessed with the whole video part of it. Was it by a video? Was it a terrorist attack? Did they know it was a terrorist attack, even though they said it was because of a video and a spontaneous protest? Well, that's what the administration said, and they lied to us. And we're going to get to that. But first, before I get to the Benghazi stuff, I just have some sad news. It's just, it's unbelievable. Yep, I'm bringing out the violin. I'm bringing out the sad violin here. Lincoln Chafee. Yes, Lincoln Chafee has decided to drop out of the presidential race. Oh, I know. Try to hold back your tears, everybody. Try to hold it back. Lincoln Chafee. By the way, if you don't know who he is, which probably the majority of the American people don't know who he is, he was that crazy guy at the Democrat debate all the way to the right who looks kind of like a Muppet a little bit. All the way to the right, like a skinny Muppet maybe. Lincoln Chafee today announced that he was dropping out of the presidential race in the Democrat Party. He's no longer going to seek the Democrat nomination. I know you're all very upset by this. It's okay. And by the way, I mean this was the highlight of the debate for me. This was the best part when Lincoln Chafee was asked this. I mean, you can't beat this theater.
Governor Chafee, you've attacked Secretary Clinton for being too close to Wall Street banks. In 1999, you voted for the very bill
I'm sad to see him go because of this.
The Glass-Steagall was my very first vote. I just arrived. My dad had died in office. I was appointed to the office. It was my very first vote.
Are you saying you didn't know what you were voting for?
I just arrived at the Senate. I think we get some takeovers. That was one. It was my very first vote, and it was 92.5. It was the reconciliation.
With all due respect,
let me just say,
what does that say about you that you're casting a vote for something you weren't really sure about?
I think you're being a little rough. I just arrived at the United States
Yes,
Senate.
you're being
I've
rough.
been mayor of my city.
Yes.
My dad had died. Had been
How
appointed by
dare
the governor.
you question me voting for something I had no idea I was voting for?
Because it was a conference report. But let me just say.
That was the best part of the debate, in my opinion. He admits, I didn't know it. I just got there. I was new. They put this bill in front of me, and I was like, okay. I mean, you're all voting for it. I'll vote for it. He doesn't even admit he made a mistake or anything. He's just, look, you're being harsh on me. I just got to Congress, and my dad died, and I was just voting on things left and right. I had no idea what I was voting for. I mean, who does not want that in the debate? I know I'm sad. I'm very, very sad that he's gone. Actually, there is one thing that I am very happy about, that he's gone. I'm very happy. One big reason I'm very happy he's gone, because when you look at his name, his last name is Chafee, Chafee. That just looks a little bit too close to Yaffe, which is my last name, Yaffee. Some people were calling him Chaffee, whatever, I don't know. But I look at him, I'm like, oh, no. It's way too close to Yaffe. I don't want to be associated with that craziness. No, just so you all know, Chaffee is not close to Yaffe. There is no relation. I've never met the crazy guy who votes for things he doesn't know what he's voting for. Look, we know what they go up to him. Look, we know you just got here. Just vote for this. I don't even know what it is. I just vote for it. Okay, I'll just vote. It's just they're being harsh on me. Yes, Chaffee. I think they were. I said Chaffee. His name's Chafee. Lincoln Chafee. Yes, I know they were being very, very harsh on you. So now we have 3 people left in the Democrat debate. We lost Jim Webb, who was the only one. He was the really old guy all the way to the left, I believe, in the debate, depending on which way you're looking, obviously. But Jim Webb left earlier this week. He's no longer in the presidential race. He was the only one on that stage who made any sense at all. And he's gone. He might run as an independent. Chafee's gone. So we have O'Malley, who surprisingly enough did not take off his shirt during the debate. Usually he's like taking off his shirt. Hey, look at my abs. But no, he just kind of, really all he did for the most of the debate was compliment Hillary Clinton. So he's trying to angle for vice president, I think, for Hillary Clinton. So that's where we are in Democrat politics. That's the best that they can come up with. A great diversity of 2 white men and old white women. So there we go. Usually they're the party of diversity, and that's what we have. Okay, I want to get into the Benghazi stuff. Well, because yesterday Hillary Clinton, as you all know, was testifying in front of the committee, the congressional committee investigating Benghazi. And, of course, they didn't really find out anything because Hillary Clinton's not going to admit anything. And Congress is not going to really go after her like they should. Jim Jordan, that bite I played for you earlier, was the only time they really went after her. But, of course, she did a great performance. And, of course, that's the media will say, well, she looked presidential, so it's over. And I guess we shouldn't care. I guess we don't care about the facts or anything else that happened. But one thing that has not been addressed when it comes to this attack on the consulate in Benghazi, September 11, 2012, that I really want to know. And I found a bite here from Fox News from KT McFarland, who is their national security advisor, used to work for the Department of Defense. And she raises exactly what I've been thinking about this, that it's not being addressed. We've been kind of distracted, and the Republicans have too. We've been distracted by the other parts of this investigation, whether she lied about it being a video. But what about what's really going on? What about what I really want to know? Nobody's asking this question, and KT says basically what I was thinking on this. This is what she said.
So the question I want to know is, what were those guys doing at that consulate? You know, in the State Department, a consulate is where diplomats work, and they issue visas, and they look for tourist lost luggage. They don't walk around with special forces. They don't have a lot of weaponry there.
So go ahead and
What are they doing?
answer your own question.
Okay.
What's your theory?
Here's the rumor that has been swirling around for the last 2 years, is that they were...
Okay, before she actually answers what her theory is, I agree with her. What were they doing there? Why were they there? That was obviously a very bad place to be. Gaddafi's government had just been overthrown. What were they doing there? And why was it so hard to get security there? Why was it so hard to get answers to what happened there? What were they hiding? That's what I want to know. I want to know what they were hiding, because it seems like surrounding all of this, and she's worked for the Department of Defense. She knows how this stuff works. She can't, and I can't understand why they were there in the first place in that situation, why they needed all that security in the first place, special ops around there, and why they couldn't get it, and why afterwards we were so secretive about it. Was it just politics? Or were there something going on there? And why the terrorists picked that place to attack in the first place? There's so many unanswered questions here. What was going on there? Why were they there? Why were they attacked there? And she has a theory that I've heard, and I frankly think it's very, very possible. This is what she said.
running guns, is that the Gaddafi forces, Gaddafi had a lot of weapons. He had particularly shoulder-fired man-pads. They're weapons that one man operates them, and you could take down a helicopter with them. Those all went missing after Gaddafi was overthrown. The rumor was that these guys were in Benghazi, this former Special Forces guys, because they were looking for those weapons. What were they doing with those weapons? Those are all the unanswered questions.
If that is true, where does that lead?
Well, it leads to what were they doing there? Were they taking those weapons and then dismantling them? Were they taking those weapons and they were sending them on? If so, who were they sending them on to?
That's a covert operation.
That's a covert operation. That's the Iran-Contra. Were they running guns to the Syrian rebels?
Were they running guns? There's a lot of rumors and some evidence out there, and she would know this better than me, which is why I'm playing her cut, that there was some covert operations, some illegal covert operations going on there, that they were running guns there behind the scenes. That's scandal-ridden stuff. That's the kind of thing that can get a president kicked out of office. Of course, there's a lot of things Obama's done that should have gotten him kicked out of office. And of course, the American people nowadays don't care. We don't care about scandals. Obama, you have half the country that no matter what this president does, they'll still back him and support him and say he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I don't get it. But I want to know, this is what I want to know, and this isn't even being brought up in these committees. This isn't even being brought up in the testimony. This is not being brought up. This is one of the only places online that I've seen this question asked. What were they doing there? Were they running guns illegally? Were they trying to give it to Syrian rebels, which has made Syria even more of a mess, putting arms in the hands of ISIS? What were they doing there? Why isn't Trey Gowdy, or he's the leader of that investigative committee? Why don't you ask this question? Maybe you didn't, I missed it, because I obviously didn't watch all 11 hours, but I haven't heard this being talked about at all. And she continues on here with her point.
Is that where you think this hearing is going?
I don't know where
it's
this hearing
leading?
is going. But listening to Trey Gowdy, he's not talking about Hillary's emails and the server and whether they were classified. That's another investigation. He's talking about what was the policy? Why was there no security given, even though it was asked again and again and again for more security? Why was there no rescue mission the night of the attack? Why, after the Benghazi attack, was the administration saying, well, it wasn't really a terrorist attack, it was just a riot that got out of hand? And so all of those questions have still not been answered.
And I think she raises a great point. Not only have they not been answered, but why have they not been answered? Something is going on there that none of us are finding out. Something happened there that is not being talked about, that is not being addressed. It was definitely more than just a protest, as we found out, and as Hillary Clinton knew ahead of time. But I think it's even more than that. I think there's a reason why they didn't help them there. I think there's something they are hiding. And we'll never find out because even the Republicans are too scared to ask these questions. You're listening to Beyond Reason Radio. I am the voice of reason in a world that is beyond reason, the voice of the millennial generation. And when I get back from the break, I want to talk to you. I want to talk more about this Benghazi thing because now the left, well, the way they're defending Hillary and the way they're saying defending this whole Benghazi thing is now it's just about politics. The Republicans are just doing this for politics because the Democrats have never done that. The Democrats have never done anything for just politics. Yeah. It's amazing if this thing was reversed. I mean, all you have to do is look in the George Bush administration over and over and over again. The Democrats accuse them of stuff just like this for politics. We're going to get into that and what some of the left is saying. And by the way, I want you to download the Beyond Reason Radio app. You can catch this live show or catch all the podcasts there. I also want you to like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Beyond Reason Radio. And this is the reason why I want you to like me on Facebook. Because often I post a lot of cool things on there, first off. And often I post these little video rants of things that I think is going on that's beyond reason. But I want to know what you think is beyond reason. Just do a little selfie video, post it on the Facebook page, and tell me what you think is beyond reason. In 10, 15 seconds, I just want to know. I want to get the audience's take on some things that you think are beyond reason, because this is getting the voice out for you. I'm the voice of the millennial generation. I want to know what the millennial generation thinks about these things. You are listening to Beyond Reason Radio here at BeyondReasonRadio.com.
You can now listen to the voice of the millennial generation on Podbean. Download the app or go to beyondreasonradio.podbean.com.
Orlando's newest dining sensation, Doc's Streetside Grill, specializes in amazing flavors at prices you'll love. With special events and entertainment ranging from trivia to live bands to poker every evening. There's something for everyone. Doc's has amazing flavors that are always fresh. You know the motto, made today, bought yesterday. Doc's is located across from Orlando Regional Medical Center on South Orange Avenue. Check out Doc'sStreetSideGrill.com for more info. Doc's is your prescription for good times. See you there.
Subscribe to the Beyond Reason podcast today on your Stitcher app and hear the voice of reason anytime.
Hey, this is Mikey Affey from Bud Hedinger Live and Beyond Reason Radio, and I have a question for you. Are you planning on taking any long road trips? Well, I have the perfect tool for you to make that trip go by a little bit faster. What you want to do is download the iHeartRadio app. With the iHeartRadio app, you can find your favorite music stations or create your own custom station. Don't forget to look up your favorite talk show hosts. You can find that on there as well. Make sure to download the app today at iHeartRadio.com.
You can catch the latest Beyond Reason podcast on SoundCloud today.
Hey, the Budman here, inviting you to join Yaffe and me and your fellow patriots for our next Republican presidential debate viewing party at Doc's Streetside Grill. The excitement starts Wednesday, October 28th at 6 p.m. Come on into Doc's and enjoy a fabulous and affordable dinner while together we watch both the early and the prime time debates. Our debate viewing parties at Doc's have been great fun. Don't miss this one. Wednesday, October 28th, Doc's Streetside Grill, 1315 South Orange Avenue across from ORMC. For menu info and details, visit Doc'sStreetSideGrill.com or call 407-841-3601.
It would be beyond reason not to listen to Yaffe on your TuneIn Radio app. Download the app today and search Beyond Reason Radio.
For the people in our military, it's a time of sacrifice and duty. That's why all 4 military aid societies have joined together to form the Armed Forces Relief Trust to help military families cope with financial and medical emergencies at home. With so many serving overseas, the need is greater than ever. You can learn more and donate at www.afrtrust.org. A message from the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
You know what's beyond reason? Yaffe is now on YouTube. Go to YouTube now and just search Beyond Reason Radio.
Yes, welcome back to the show, everyone. This is the voice of reason, the voice of truth, your conscience in a world that is beyond reason. I want to thank you all for listening to Beyond Reason Radio here at BeyondReasonRadio.com and on the Beyond Reason Radio app. You'll hear throughout the show a bunch of different ways to catch the podcast. If you missed any of the show live, you can catch the podcast. Make sure to share with your friends as well. And the best way to keep up with the show is to like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Beyond Reason Radio. If you just go to my website, beyondreasonradio.com, you will find the connections to all of this stuff. The Facebook page, all the podcasts, to get it live, everything is on my website, beyondreasonradio.com, so you can go there and check it out. So in the last segment, I've talked about, of course, what is Beyond Reason, and the big thing that is Beyond Reason this week is the fact that Hillary Clinton is going to get off scot-free over the Benghazi disaster. She's going to get off scot-free. It actually, a lot of people were saying her presidential campaign has had a great week because she looked great in the debate. You know, this is what we care about now. We care about image. We care about how people look. We care about their performance. So she looked great in the debate. Biden is no longer going to run for president. She looked great in this testimony. And, of course, we don't care about anything she actually says or any of her ideas for the country. No. This is America in 2015. You know, this is the future. Back to the future. This is the future now. This is what Marty McFly should have seen, is that we care only about image and not what people think. But so the Republicans are trying to find out information on this committee. And the left, the other side, the communists, basically, this is what I like to call them, because that's the Democrat Party. If you watch that debate, I've talked about this before. If you watched that debate, they're all socialists now. They're all socialists now. They all want the government to do everything and give out free stuff. Santa Claus, as I talked about before. This is where we are. So, and one of them is at least admitting it in Bernie Sanders, but that's where they are. But anyway, so the communist media is out there, and they're trying to defend Hillary Clinton, saying, they're basically, the Democrats are saying, this whole committee is a joke. We shouldn't be doing it. It's all about politics. And I found this cut from one communist in the media, Rachel Maddow, and this is what she said from MSNBC. I know, none of you really want to hear what she said, but I think it kind of illustrates what I'm getting at here.
We have never before as a country treated a specific national security event like this.
Yes, never before, ever.
We have never had a congressional partisan carnival like this over an attack on a U.S. outpost overseas. Never. In the history of Beirut, of Khobar Towers, of the East Africa embassy bombings, of the 9/11 Commission even, of the attack on the USS Cole, on even the intelligence leading up to the Iraq War. I mean, the history of all of those incredibly inflammatory, incredibly consequential national security issues and attacks, they have been handled by Congress as matters of sober and serious investigation in which partisanship was seen as repellent.
Sure.
And unwelcome, and
man, the
mostly
past
just
must have been
not
great. There must have never been any
country,
debate in the past.
Our Congress has comported themselves on national security matters like this in the past. Until now. Until Republicans have turned it all into one big, hilarious partisan joke.
See, there you go. See, no longer is trying to find out what really happened on that day in Benghazi a serious matter that needs serious investigation, and the leadership needs to be held accountable for the death of 4 Americans. But it's just a partisan joke now. It's just a partisan joke. Never before has something like this been turned into politics. I hate when people say that because they obviously don't know history. All you have to do is look at the Civil War. Stuff like this happened in the Civil War. But anyways, I remember during the George Bush administration, during the Iraq War, every day, the Democrat Party blasted the Bush administration, blasted Republicans over that war, saying we need to pull out, trying to lose a war over politics. They didn't take it then as some serious national security issue. They saw it then as politics. So don't lecture me, Rachel Maddow, on how in the history of the American Republic, it was we always took national security issues like this very, very seriously. And it was never divided over politics. Give me a break. I know you like to gloriously on the past like that, but it's just not true. It happened during the George Bush administration every day. I heard criticisms like this. Remember earlier in the show? Remember the bumper stickers? George Bush lied and people died. Cindy Sheehan was out there with her protest. The Democrat Party was calling soldiers rapists. It happened every day. And it was all because of politics. It was all to get more votes. It was all to get the Democrats elected, which is what happened. And they wanted us to lose a war so they could do that. So I don't know what she's getting at, that this is the first time this has ever happened. This is the nature of politics. But I take offense anyways at what she's saying, that trying to get to the bottom of what happened, it's just a political joke. We're not taking this seriously. Sorry, she's very serious. She's very serious. I'm sure she cares about what really happened, and she really cares about the lives. Give me a break. I want you to tell, Rachel Maddow, I want you to tell what you just told your little viewership you have, although I'm sure you have more than me, but still, for being on a cable network television show, your ratings are not the greatest. But anyways, I want you to tell that to the mother of Sean Smith, who died over there, one of the soldiers, the Special Forces people trying to protect the ambassador, who died in Benghazi that day during that attack. I want you to tell her, the mother of that guy, that this is just a political witch hunt, that this doesn't really matter, that we're not taking this seriously. Because this is what she has to say about what Hillary has done, about what the administration's done on this. I want you to listen to this and then tell the mother of that fallen American in Benghazi what you just told your viewers.
She lies. Very simple. She is not.
This is her talking about Hillary Clinton.
She's trying to push her own agenda through. What she was hoping would happen is what she said, not what actually happened. She told me it was a video that it was. She told me personally it was a video. Obama told me, Panetta told me, Biden told me. They all told me at the casket ceremony that it was the video, and they would definitely call me and let me know if there was any change as soon as they investigated it a little bit more thoroughly. I have heard nothing from the government since, other than I am not a member of the immediate family and they don't have to tell me.
So tell her that, Rachel Maddow. Because she was told by this administration, oh, it was because of a video. She just wants answers because she's grieving and she wants some closure. Because her son was killed over there. And we're trying to find answers. It still doesn't matter. We're still not taking it seriously. We're just trying to find the truth. Because obviously the administration was lying. Why? Why were they lying? So much so because it was proven, as I played in the Jim Jordan cut earlier, that Hillary Clinton knew the day after that it was because of a terrorist attack. She told her family in emails that it was a terrorist attack. And yet, right after that, she lied to the mother of one of the people who died, saying, oh, it's because of video. We're going to get this person because of a video. Why? What are they hiding? What were they hiding? I want to know. I think the American people have a right to know. And if they lied, the American people have a right to know that they lied. And I think it's a serious thing. Not only that, but Hillary Clinton's Secretary of State record caused a lot of the problems in the Middle East we're having in the first place. So you can say what you just said to this mother.
Know what happened. They don't tell me. I still don't know. The government has never told me. They have never contacted me. And I've got to know. That was my only child. And yes, I'm grieving because they won't tell me anything. If Hillary had any sense in her head, all she'd have to do is make one phone call and there'd be no more problems. But they don't tell me. They won't tell me nothing.
Can you imagine being a mom in that situation? It's sick. It's sick that they lied to her face. And she still doesn't know what really happened. unbelievable. It is definitely beyond reason. There's a lot more I'm going to get to in the show today that is beyond reason. I'm going to move on from the Benghazi nightmare and get on to Obama. Obama said something that might get him in trouble with some of his supporters. Yes, I was actually very surprised at some of the stuff he said, and a lot of his supporters are not going to be happy if you know the history of some of the stuff they've said in the past. You are listening to Beyond Reason Radio. Stick with me. We'll get to a lot more when we get back. Make sure to download the app, and you can listen live there as well. Beyond Reason Radio. Thank you for listening at BeyondReasonRadio.com.
You want to listen to Beyond Reason Radio live on your smartphone? Download the Beyond Reason Radio app now. Available in the Google Play or Apple App Stores.
Orlando's newest dining sensation, Doc's Streetside Grill, specializes in amazing flavors at prices you'll love. With special events and entertainment ranging from trivia to live bands to poker every evening, there's something for everyone. Doc's has amazing flavors that are always fresh. You know the motto, made today, bought yesterday. Doc's is located across from Orlando Regional Medical Center on South Orange Avenue. Check out DocStreetSideGrill.com for more info. Doc's is your prescription for good times. See you there.
Subscribe to the Beyond Reason podcast today on your Stitcher app and hear the voice of reason anytime.
Hey, this is Mike Yaffe from Bud Hedinger Live and Beyond Reason Radio, and I have a question for you. Are you planning on taking any long road trips? Well, I have the perfect tool for you to make that trip go by a little bit faster. What you want to do is download the iHeartRadio app. With the iHeartRadio app, you can find your favorite music stations or create your own custom station. Don't forget to look up your favorite talk show hosts. You can find that on there as well. Make sure to download the app today at iHeartRadio.com.
You can catch the latest Beyond Reason podcast on SoundCloud today.
Hey, the Budman here, inviting you to join Yaffe and me and your fellow patriots for our next Republican presidential debate viewing party at Doc's Streetside Grill. The excitement starts Wednesday, October 28th at 6 p.m. Come on into Doc's and enjoy a fabulous and affordable dinner while together we watch both the early and the prime time debates. Our debate viewing parties at Doc's have been great fun. Don't miss this one. Wednesday, October 28th, Doc's Streetside Grill, 1315 South Orange Avenue across from ORMC. For menu info and details, visit DocStreetSideGrill.com or call 407-841-3601.
It would be beyond reason not to listen to Yaffe on your TuneIn Radio app. Download the app today and search Beyond Reason Radio.
For the people in our military, it's a time of sacrifice and duty. That's why all 4 military aid societies have joined together to form the Armed Forces Relief Trust to help military families cope with financial and medical emergencies at home. With so many serving overseas, the need is greater than ever. You can learn more and donate at www.afrtrust.org. A message from the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
If you heart Beyond Reason Radio, listen to the Beyond Reason Radio podcast on iHeartRadio. Just download the iHeartRadio app and search Beyond Reason Radio.
Welcome back. You're listening to the voice of reason in a world that is beyond reason as we sift through a lot in the news today that is beyond reason. I thank you all for listening today as I'm your host, Michael Yaffe. We do this show live every Monday and Friday at 8 p.m., which you can catch it live on the BeyondReasonRadio.com website, or just download the app and listen live straight on the app, the Beyond Reason Radio app. It is just me today because executive producer Michael Formasano had to work at one of his other jobs. At least that's what he told me. I think he just ditched me. Actually, no, Mike does a lot of great work for me, but he had to work today. He was sad. So it's just me running everything and, doing the show. So a lot more work for me to do, but that's okay. I'll do it for you, for the audience. So Obama was interviewed. I believe this is from today or yesterday. He was asked a question on the Black Lives Matter movement. And he said something I can't believe. This is gonna get him in a lot of trouble with his base. I'm telling you. It actually sounds kind of reasonable. You would think it would be common sense, but I don't know. This is what he said.
I think everybody understands all lives matter. Everybody wants strong, effective law enforcement.
He just said, all lives matter. Oh, no. No. Remember that part in the debate where a guy was asked them a question and he said, do Black lives matter or all lives matter? And I'm like, what kind of question is that? Why can't you have both? But all the Democrat candidates, they said Black lives matter. And you know why they said that? Because Democrat presidential candidate O'Malley was in an interview once, and he said all lives matter, and he got lambasted by the Black Lives Matter movement for merely saying all lives matter. And now the president of the United States, their base isn't going to like this, Obama. Yeah, I mean, you're not supposed to make sense because the base isn't going to like it when you actually make sense. You can't say all lives matter. No, that takes away the point of the Black Lives Matter movement. Unfortunately, the Black Lives Matter movement has been taken over a lot by a lot of bad people. Even if it was legitimate to begin with, unfortunately, it's been taken over by a lot of violent people. But since I'm a fair guy, I'm going to play the president's comments here in context a little bit. And I'm actually kind of shocked at what he said. I'm not going to lie. He actually said a lot of decent things. Where has this been for the past 7 years when it comes to this stuff? I'm flabbergasted. I'm amazed. This is what he said.
When I think the reason that the organizers used the phrase Black Lives Matters was not because they said they were suggesting nobody else's lives matter. Rather, what they were suggesting was there is a specific problem that is happening in the African American community that's not happening in other communities. And that is a legitimate issue that we've got to address. I think it's important for those who are concerned about that to back it up with data, not anecdote, to not paint with a broad brush, to understand the overwhelming majority of law enforcement is doing the right thing and wants to do the right thing.
I'm amazed. I've never heard him say anything like that before. Not only that, but he said, make sure to back it up with data, not anecdotal evidence. Since when do you care about data, Obama? Where is the real Barack Obama? Where are you? This can't. Is this one of your stunt doubles? Is this one of yours? Are you playing tricks on us? What is going? And he actually continues to support the police. And you know what's funny is I read a lot of the headlines about this story on Google and such, just searching for this story, and they're all saying Obama defends Black Lives Matter movement. And that's the big headline. And they're ignoring this part of what he said. This is a pretty important, big deal that he has said here. I'm shocked. And I think, well, I'm going to make my point on the whole Black Lives Matter thing, on the whole cops and everything. But I want to finish what Obama said here.
To recognize that police officers have a really tough job, and we're sending them into really tough neighborhoods that sometimes are really dangerous, and they've got to make split-second decisions. And so we shouldn't be too sanctimonious about situations that sometimes can be ambiguous. But having said all that, we as a society, particularly given our history, have to take this seriously.
Now, what he's saying is that the Black Lives Matter movement might have legitimate concerns, but we should understand that police have an incredibly difficult job. This is what I've said. They have to make split-second decisions, and they're going into very rough neighborhoods. Wow. Right. I've never thought these words would come out of my mouth like this, but Obama's right. That's the big issue here. And this is the biggest problem I have with this whole discussion. You know, when the whole Trayvon Martin thing happened, my biggest problem, and I was producing Buttheading Live like I still do in the mornings on WFLA, and the biggest problem I had with that whole debate is it seemed that nobody was objective on that subject. it really seemed that nobody was objective. You had one side who said Trayvon Martin was this innocent little kid who was just targeted because he was black and killed in cold blood because he was black. And he was just an innocent kid, which isn't true. I mean, all you had to do was look at the history of the kid and know that he was not some shining star of the community. But then you had the other side who said Zimmerman was just an innocent guy and Trayvon Martin was a thug and deserved to die. And Zimmerman was just an innocent guy protecting his community. Well, obviously, we're finding out that Zimmerman isn't exactly a shining star of the community either. What happened was Zimmerman followed the guy. Maybe he shouldn't have done that. They got into some kind of fight, and Zimmerman was getting beat up, and out of self-defense, shot Trayvon Martin, which he has a right to do in self-defense. He does. And they're saying, oh, we need to get rid of the stand your ground law because of this. The defense didn't even use stand your ground as a defense. They used the self-defense. But my point is, nobody is objective on this subject when it comes to police brutality on blacks. Because there might be some cases where this happens. We had a case in Orlando on video where it was caught of officers kicking a black man who was handcuffed on the ground, laying on the ground, and they were just kicking him. And they weren't charged for that. That's a problem. I don't know any situation where you can just kick a guy on the ground in handcuffs who's obviously already been detained. You're just kicking him out of anger and spite, and cops should not be doing that, and those officers should be charged for that. But what's happening is we're setting a narrative where we're saying, well, this is just how cops are. And like Obama said, that's just not true. There might be 5% of cops that are like this. And I've heard that the majority of cops out there, even locally, are very upset at that 5% that's bad. And they're very upset at the leadership in the police departments that are not dealing with the bad 5%. But the vast majority of cops are decent. I mean, we know it. We know it in our daily lives. We do not live in an oppressed country. Nobody thinks we live in this vast oppressed country. And the other problem I have with this is, like I said, it's not objective. You have one side that's blaming cops and blaming racism, this racist ideology. And then but they're ignoring the fact, and this is fact, that like Obama said, believe it or not, that these neighborhoods are very rough neighborhoods. That when a cop often goes into these neighborhoods and often deals with people in those neighborhoods, they're putting their very lives on the line. And we're telling them to just automatically stand down all the time. Any human being is going to want to protect their own lives. And we're taking away their ability to want to do that. So there are cases that we have to give the cops the benefit of the doubt. Not every case. There's been some bad cases. But what has happened, I've noticed, is now there's a lot of people in the Black Lives Matter movement, is they'll take some stories out there. There was a story of, not the initial story of the pool party where the cop kind of went nuts on the kids, but there was another story where these kids were outside a pool and they weren't allowed in and they had to call the cops to get rid of them. And one of the cops merely detained one of the kids, didn't beat her up or punch her or anything, just kind of grabbed her to put her arms behind her back to control the situation. And all of a sudden there were stories everywhere about how, look, that's more police brutality. And I'm like, there was no police brutality in there. If you just use every single situation where a cop arrests a black guy, you're going to lose your credibility in the movement. So if you want your movement to be legit, you can't automatically give every black person who's arrested the benefit of the doubt. But we can't automatically give every cop who does something the benefit of the doubt either. there's an objective way of looking at this whole thing that isn't being done. And that's what frustrates me about this whole thing. We have become so divided in this country on everything where we're not looking at reality. We're not thinking about what we're seeing. We're not using our brains and coming up with rational explanations for things and thinking through things. It's the same way with the whole gun control thing. We're not really thinking about what's happening. We say we need all these extra laws. They talked about it in the Democrat debate. But we're not thinking about the fact that none of those laws that they're proposing would have stopped these shootings. And then Ben Carson says, well, the purpose of the Second Amendment was actually to be a final check on government, on tyrannical government, so we could have defend ourselves if a government got oppressive and tyrannical. Well, that's true. And when you think about it, that's a good thing. It keeps the government in check. It's another last resort way to keep them in check. And yet people are like, oh, he's crazy. They were cussing him out on Twitter and all this stuff for saying something that when you think about it is rational and makes sense. But we become so divided on everything that we're not thinking about what we're doing. We're just siding with one side or the other side. And nothing's getting done. We have to, if we're going to side with something, we need to side with principles, which is what I try to do on this show, with reason, with thoughtfulness, and not just with, say, a political party. It's like earlier with the whole Rachel Maddow thing. She's not thinking of, she's saying, oh, this is the first time ever over a national security issue that it's been turned into a political show. Give me a break. Come on, you know that's not true. I'm not, now whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know, but anyone who has studied the history of politics in this country, no, it's not true. There was political division in shows during World War II, for crying out loud. It just happens. So don't get on your high horse and say it doesn't happen and say act like the Democrat Party is this bastion of reasonableness and really cares about national security, because it's not true. Think. Unbelievable. Now, by the way, in the next segment, I want to get into something that's even more serious, that nothing's being done about it. And we're not thinking about what's happening. And that's the problems with the VA. I have some stats that they found in a report over the VA that will blow your mind. Will blow your mind. It's unbelievable. And it's frankly disgusting. We'll get to that. Thank you for listening to the show. You're listening to Beyond Reason Radio, the voice of reason, the voice of truth, the voice of the millennial generation, Orlando's smart talk radio, and I, your host, Michael Yaffe. Well, I'll be right back.
If you miss any of the show, you can download the Beyond Reason podcast on iTunes.
Orlando's newest dining sensation, Doc's Streetside Grill, specializes in amazing flavors at prices you'll love. With special events and entertainment ranging from trivia to live bands to poker every evening, there's something for everyone. Doc's has amazing flavors that are always fresh. You know the motto, made today, bought yesterday. Doc's is located across from Orlando Regional Medical Center on South Orange Avenue. Check out DocStreetSideGrill.com for more info. Doc's is your prescription for good times. See you there.
Subscribe to the Beyond Reason podcast today on your Stitcher app and hear the voice of reason anytime.
Hey, this is Mike Yaffe from Bud Hedinger Live and Beyond Reason Radio, and I have a question for you. Are you planning on taking any long road trips? Well, I have the perfect tool for you to make that trip go by a little bit faster. What you want to do is download the iHeartRadio app. With the iHeartRadio app, you can find your favorite music stations or create your own custom station. Don't forget to look up your favorite talk show hosts. You can find that on there as well. Make sure to download the app today at iHeartRadio.com.
You can catch the latest Beyond Reason podcast on SoundCloud today.
Hey, the Budman here, inviting you to join Yaffe and me and your fellow patriots for our next Republican presidential debate viewing party at Doc's Streetside Grill. The excitement starts Wednesday, October 28th at 6 p.m. Come on into Doc's and enjoy a fabulous and affordable dinner while together we watch both the early and the prime time debates. Our debate viewing parties at Doc's have been great fun. Don't miss this one. Wednesday, October 28th, Doc's Street Side Grill, 1315 South Orange Avenue across from ORMC. For menu info and details, visit DocStreetSideGrill.com or call 407-841-3601.
It would be beyond reason not to listen to Yaffe on your TuneIn Radio app. Download the app today and search Beyond Reason Radio.
For the people in our military, it's a time of sacrifice and duty. That's why all 4 military aid societies have joined together to form the Armed Forces Relief Trust to help military families cope with financial and medical emergencies at home. With so many serving overseas, the need is greater than ever. You can learn more and donate at www.afrtrust.org. A message from the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
It would be beyond reason not to listen to Yaffe on your TuneIn Radio app. Download the app today and search Beyond Reason Radio.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. You are listening to Beyond Reason Radio, where we sift through everything in the news that is beyond reason. And, well, I am your voice of reason throughout. I'm your host, Michael Yaffe. You can follow me on Twitter at Beyond Reason R. That's Beyond Reason and the letter R. Follow me on Twitter there. I tweet all day long. So follow me. You can stay up to date with what's going on in the news, what's going on with me, what's going on with the show on Twitter. And like us on Facebook as well. Before I get into the VA and the various stuff, first I want to tell you about my favorite restaurant, and that is Doc's Street Side Grill, which you heard some commercials just now for. Doc's Street Side Grill, it's right outside of downtown Orlando, right off of Orange Avenue, right across the street from ORMC. And next Wednesday for the Republican debate, I'm going to be there. Bud Hedinger is going to be there. He hosts the morning show that I produce in the mornings on WFLA. We're both going to be there for the debate viewing party. Now, last time we did this, we had a huge crowd. But I want to get some of you out there as well, some Beyond Reason radio listeners out there as well, especially those in the millennial generation. And just come out and have some great food. We're going to watch both debates there. You'll get to hear what I think about the debate as it's happening. We'll also take a poll on who you thought won the debate. Should be interesting because Trump's still in the lead, but Ben Carson's really gaining on him. He's going to be on one side of Trump. And then Rubio is beating Bush now, and he's not going to be at the other side of Trump. So it should be an interesting debate. I've become more and more a fan of Ben Carson. I hear him more and more. For one, he's a very strong Christian, but he just makes a lot of sense. He just seems like the adult in the room. So come to Doc's Street Side Grill. Go to DocStreetSideGrill.com for more information on the restaurant, get the menu, and just go and have a good time. If you don't go for the debate viewing party, go during the weekend and watch football. It's just a great place to be. Doc's Street Side Grill is your prescription for fun times. So I found this story today. And when you read some of the stats about this, it's really just disgusting. It's disgusting what's happening with the VA. Now, the VA's had problems for years. And now I'm sort of getting some personal experience with it, not because I'm in the VA, but my mom's in the VA, and she's just had a ton of problems because it's a giant bureaucracy. It's a government bureaucracy that doesn't have the accountability of the marketplace. And anytime you have a monopoly like that, it is doomed to fail. But listen to this. I found this on the Washington Times from David Jolly. This is what he said. Nearly 60,000 Americans lost their lives in Vietnam. Today, 5 times that number may have died awaiting medical care from the VA. He says, yes, you read that right. More than 300,000 veterans may have died waiting for health care from the U.S. government, according to a recent VA Inspector General's report. That's the equivalent of 100 September 11th attacks on our nation's homeland. And he basically talks about his idea to fix the problem. But just think about that. They go, they fight, they die for their country. You think we could at least give them decent medical care. That should be at least one thing they don't have to worry about. But they do. And what's amazing to me is this is the greatest example we can look at as the American people of socialized medicine. Because that's basically what the VA is. It is socialized medicine. And yet we have a Democrat Party. We have people in the debate from Hillary Clinton, Obama, who their goal is to bring socialized medicine to all of us. So this problem we have with the VA, where 300,000 people could have died awaiting medical care, we want to bring that to the rest of the country? That's what we want to do. Tell me how that makes sense. Because I don't get it. We see the problem with a socialized, monopolized medical system, and we want to expand that to everyone and get rid of private health care in this country. That's the goal. When you have Obama, who has said he believes in single payer, you have Hillary Clinton, who has supported this throughout her whole career for socialized medicine, and we want to bring that to the rest of us. Unbelievable, but it's sick that it's even happening to them, and I like the solution that's in this article and other solutions. It's time to just get rid of government socialized medical care in all its forms. Veterans should be able to choose what care they get. Why don't we make it into an insurance plan where they get an insurance and get to choose their doctors and healthcare facility? And even that's not perfect. But they should be able to. We need to bring some kind of choice into what they're getting. Right now, they're supposed to get vouchers, where if they can't get care at the VA, they can go somewhere else. But why don't we just give them the ability to be able to go somewhere else anyways? If they don't like the care at the VA, why don't we give them the ability to get a voucher from the government instead and use that voucher to go somewhere else in the private sector to get care? There's a private sector solution that makes sense. We've tried socialized medicine and it's failing. And I know the Democrats aren't going to like that because, like I said, they're trying to bring socialized medicine to everybody. Instead, I want to get rid of socialized medicine completely in this country, including for the veterans, because it's failing, because it's not working, because 300,000 people may have died. And I know people who have been in the system who can't believe how bad it is. My own mom can't get a handicap sticker because of the bureaucracy. That's all she wants is a handicap sticker. If she does it privately, she could probably get it. But because she's doing it through the VA, she can't get it. I know people who are studying to be doctors, who are studying to be nurses. I know doctors who cannot believe how bad Obamacare is, and many of the Obamacare co-ops are failing. The exchanges are failing. It's costing more than they thought. Your insurance rates are skyrocketing, and the Democrats will try to tell you, well, they're skyrocketing less because of Obamacare. Please, we all know, as soon as Obamacare was passed, my health insurance went up. The day it was passed. And this is where we are, and we want to bring more socialized medicine into this country. That's what the Democrats want. And it's an unbelievable failure. It is, well, it's beyond reason. It is beyond reason, and it needs to change. And I think some kind of voucher program, which we need for schools too, so we could have school choice, because government schools are failing as well. And they're making that worse under Common Core. They want the government more in control of that. We need a school voucher system, but we need a voucher system for the VA so the veterans can choose what kind of care they get. There, simple solution. I use my brain. I use my thought process. I've listened to people much smarter than me and what they have to say, and there we go. Solution. Solve the problem. You are listening to Beyond Reason Radio. I thank you all for listening to the show today. Make sure to download the app. Just go to your Google Play Store, Apple App Store. It's on there. You can listen to the live show. If you like this show, share with your friends. Share the podcast with your friends, which is up on the website, beyondreasonradio.com. And, well, I'll catch you guys on Monday.
Knowing so well that nothing comes from indifference. I Look inside.